The Padres went into Chavez Ravine in sole possession of first place in the National League West and a lot of momentum. Now they leave in second place after getting swept. Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. Mike, Padres were going into Chavez Ravine having won 14 of 17. The Dodgers were scuffling. Everything seemed to be going the Padres' way. And the Dodgers took control of the series pretty much from the outset. They led in 25 of the 27 innings this series. Overall, just not the kind of outcome the Padres were hoping for in many, many different ways. What was your overall takeaways from the series?
Well, number one, it started with the starting pitching, and you didn't get much depth from that. And the Dodgers were able to take advantage of the situation in this particular series. And I mean, they got shut out the first day. No, they lost 3-2 the first day,
Yeah.
6-0 second day. So, and then Mookie hit a big homer in the eighth um, against Suarez today, and so that made it tough. I mean, the Dodgers still are a team to you have to really be um your game has to be in tune when you go in there. You got to be trying to be playing your best baseball in order to beat them. Although it seems like this year they're a little short offensively and also, from injuries from a pitching staff point of view. But for the most part, man, you still got to go in. You got to beat these guys, and they're not just going to let you get it. And then you're going into Dodger Stadium, so you got to be ready to play some ball when you go in there. And what I mean by that is you need to have your fundamentals together, and you need to be trying to play your best baseball, and not beat yourself with mistakes and everything. So, tough series. They were tough series. The Dodgers they pitched well, and and the Pods fought a little bit and thought they was going to be able to sneak one out today without getting swept, but it ended up being a tough loss for them today.
Yeah, with the series sweep, the Dodgers have now won 8 of 10 against the Padres this season. And look, we've talked about it. Everyone's chasing the Dodgers. They're the defending
Yeah.
World Series champion. They're the standard in Major League Baseball in terms of an organization. And even though this hasn't been their best season, you know that at the end of the day, they're the big dogs. And again, the Padres entered the series in first place, a huge accomplishment, but
Yeah.
going head to head against the Dodgers in Chavez Ravine obviously is a tall task. Before we dive in any further, I want to remind everyone, please go ahead and subscribe here to Friar Territory. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, rate us 5 stars, all the good stuff. Helps us out big time. And we now have merch. Check out friarterritoryshop.com. You can get shirts,
Okay.
hats, quarter zips, all the good stuff. So we've got you covered here as we head into the stretch run. Mike, you hit on, I think, the most important takeaway from this series, and that is
Yeah.
Padres starting pitchers not going deep into games. And that hasn't been something that is unique to this series. The Padres starters are now 22nd in the majors in innings pitched. We've talked
Yeah.
about how great this bullpen is, but you can't consistently have your starters going less than 5 innings or struggling to get through 6 over the course of a long season and expect it to work out for you. And that's also true for the postseason. This series, it was really, really, really magnified. They had to use a bullpen game in the opener. Michael King went on the IL with knee inflammation, had to go Wandy
Yeah.
to Randy Vasquez. It is what it is. But then
Yeah.
Dylan Cease did not have his fastball command at all in game 2, made it only 3 1/3 innings. And Yu Darvish in the finale gave up a 4 spot in the first, only got 4 innings out of him. This is something that the Padres, if you wanted to look at where is the flaw on this team, there's 2 big ones, and this is the major one right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, obviously, if you're going to contend and you're going to give your team a chance to be, to have an opportunity to make a run in the postseason, and you're going to have to get some innings out of your starters. Hey, you're going to probably, give up a couple of runs here or there, but like you can't be walking 5 and 6 guys. That will kill your whole pitching staff, for a series when that happens. And, with Michael King going down, that probably could have impacted
Yeah.
the team in a sense, given that you had to go with a opener type, deal in that first game. So it's kind of tough, man. And with knowing that you needed Dylan Cease to go in and have a big a pretty big game in the second game, and it just didn't work out for him in the second game. So, and that puts a lot of onus on your bullpen, where you got to probably start moving pieces around to try to get some innings here and there, piece everything together, but it just didn't happen. So, and then with the Dodgers pitching well, with them pitching well against the Padres, it made it a lot easier for the Dodgers to be able to take advantage of this situation. Given if the Padres would be able to kind of come out on top and win one of these games, it would have probably gave them a little bit more, in this thing and put them in a position now that they are going to be 2 games back and go from here and still got a nice little stretch of good teams coming. So it's gonna be interesting, man. It just you got to find the ways to get something. You got to get your starters to be able to settle in and at least give you 5. 5 to 6 if that's possible. And they do have the capabilities. You have the capable starters to be able to do this. And you, Darvish, and Dylan Cease, and some other guys. So you do have this opportunity to get that done. And it's a little setback, but got to get ready for the next series and see what happens from there.
Yeah, Nick Pivetta has really been the only pitcher that has consistently gone deep into games for the Padres this season. Dylan Cease has done it here or there, but there's been a lot more outings where he's throwing 90 to 100 pitches just to get through 4 2/3, 5 innings. Yu Darvish is still rounding into form. He threw 7 against the Mets. That was encouraging, but he hasn't really been able to consistently show he can pitch deep into games yet since coming off the IL. And I think there was a really big contrast here, right? Coming into the series, pitching has been the Padres' strength. The Dodgers have struggled in part because of their injuries.
Yeah.
But Clayton Kershaw, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, 3 superstars, 3 standouts.
Yeah.
They went out and did their job. Where on the Padres side of things, I really think the Dylan Cease start was a turning point in the series because as much as the opener, you go in there facing Clayton Kershaw, you're going to have to cobble together a bullpen game. And the Padres hung in there. It was 3-2. Kershaw pitched great, but they had chances at the end. Okay, 1-run loss and then bullpen game with an opener, no problem. Dylan Cease coming off of 2 dominant starts and then having absolutely no fastball command whatsoever, puts the Padres in a big hole early, 5-0. And yes, there's the error on Merrill, but the reason that was a problem is because Cease had walked 2 batters before that, and those guys came around to score. And I think, too, the other aspect of it is realistically, you could tell Dylan Cease did not have it in the first inning, and especially in the second inning. Normally, just yank him. But because the Padres had to cobble together a bullpen day the day before, they had to leave him out there, try to get something out of him. And it was an ugly situation all around. I think that's really where the series turned, where it became, okay, this is not going to go the Padres' way. Once Dylan Cease, his fastball was all over the place. He had no idea where that thing was going.
Yeah, that with a team like the Dodgers who are experienced as to say they're not chasing, these guys, they walk a lot. They got pretty good command of the strike zone. So they just really just drove that home against Dylan Cease and what put the team in the position today, where you can't use some of your guys that you had to use, in the last game. So it makes it really tough, man. So, it was a fight today and, they came out on the short end of the stick, but, like you said, that second game really kind of, put a lot of onus on everything that went on in this whole series. And you can't have that because not only does it impact this series, when you having to use multiple guys multiple times and because of the starters are not going at least 5 and a third or 6, you started to wear down the back end of your bullpen and so you're going to need that firepower because this has been one of your strengths in pretty much the whole season. So you really need to get this kind of turned around. And hopefully guys are able to understand it. I'm sure, these guys are veterans. They understand it. They've been in this situation before. It's just a matter of being able to get everything back together again. With you, I just think like it's sharp. It's just not as stuff is great, but it's just not sharp, in the strike zone and around the strike zone. So it didn't when you're having to throw, when you're behind the count and you're having to throw the ball over the plate, big leaguers will get you, man. The good teams will get you.
Yeah, and to that point, even when Yu Darvish got ahead in the count, he wasn't able to finish hitters. Freddie Freeman, he's ahead 0-2, and then he grooves a fastball right down the middle. Freddie Freeman's not going to miss that. Andy Pages going down, getting that breaking ball, hitting it for a home run. Kind of tip your cap there. That wasn't a bad pitch, but that 3-run homer to Freddie Freeman, where again, he just grew a fastball, an 0-2 fastball right down the middle. That's where you see the lack of sharpness. And to your point, Mike Schill has talked about this a lot. He knows, he has said outright, we need to get more from our starters. The starting pitchers
Yeah,
themselves, Cease, all of them have openly talked about we need to go deeper into games. They know
yeah,
they need to do it. They know
yeah,
what they're
yeah,
doing is not sustainable. But it's one thing
yeah,
to know something, it's another to execute it.
yeah.
And I think right now the Padres just they haven't really been able to find the formula for their starters to consistently go deep. We see it in flashes. Again, Dylan Cease pitched into the seventh his last outing. He's been really good since the trade deadline, really since the All-Star break. You think might be finally getting back to his Cy Young form. Then he has an outing. Again, it's a consistency issue, and the starters, they need to give the Padres more than they are. And if they don't, it's going to cost them not just down the stretch, but in the postseason as well. Because we see all the time, if you put too much on your bullpen, a lot of times, even if you get to the NLCS or an ALCS, they're too bad.
Yeah, yeah, that what makes it really tough. Um, like I don't, I think that the guys understand this now. It's just about executing,
Yeah.
and when you get this type of execution, it makes it very easy to manage a bullpen or manage the team. And then it just kind of like allows the offense to kind of settle in because you know that you got a pretty good offense and you're going to be able to get some runs. And sometimes you're going to run into some, you're going to run into some good pitchers. They have Robbie Ray tomorrow, another big series. And,
Yeah.
coming San Francisco coming in, and then you need to get some out of courts tomorrow. You got to get something out of him. You can't have one of these lull or setbacks where it puts the pressure in the first game of the series, against the San Francisco Giants because, they played them pretty tough. I think the last series that, Padres beat them up pretty bad at home,
Yeah.
but, they do play the Padres tough and Robbie Ray's a good one. And you're going to have to go
Oh,
in
yeah.
and battle. You're going to have to battle this guy right here tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. Mike, we've talked a lot about the Padres stars needing to go deeper, and that's something that has been a problem throughout the season. There's one other core issue that was, I don't want to say exposed in this series, but a problem we knew existed that was really magnified. We're going to talk about that right after this quick word from our sponsors. The dog days of summer means MLB is fully heating up, and so is your shot to score big. Download the Pick Six app for the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into actual cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules, and get this. All new Pick Six customers will instantly get $50 in bonus picks on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. New customers play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside, where a few bucks can turn into a bag. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Back here on Friar Territory, Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. All right, Mike, before the break, we talked about the Padres and their starters being 22nd in the majors in innings pitched and how they've got to
Yeah.
get more length from their starters. And again, the Padres are a good team. Every single team has something they need to improve upon. They have a weakness, they have something that ultimately they're going to have to get better at to achieve their goal of winning a World Series. This isn't unique to the Padres, but in terms of diving into this team, that's a big one. The
Yeah.
other big one is their lack of success on the road. With this series sweep, the Padres are now 31 and 35 on the road. And this is something that separates the top tier teams from the teams that just can't quite get over the hump. Look, most teams are better at home than they are on the road. That's not unique. But when you look at the top four teams in each league right now, none of them have losing records on the road. It's once you get into that 5 spot, 6 spot, and out of the playoff picture, that's where you start seeing teams that have losing records on the road. And for the Padres to be a team that is able to win the division or get into that 4 spot, they're going to have to fix this. When you see a team that has such a stark home road split, what does that normally tell you in your experience, having played forever and coached and really been a part of a lot of different organizations?
Yeah. I don't. That's a tough one to say because, like, but your good teams, they're just good all the time. They're really tough. I
Yeah.
mean, like I'm trying to look back and think on, with the pause right now of some of the things that they've gone through this year and their struggles, and they kind of really put them in a situation where I don't know if it's you're facing the tougher pitching staff. I mean, the toughest starters, or whatever it may be, but you just haven't been able to put it together. And probably because they, don't jump on teams early and score runs sometimes, so you're behind. If you're constantly behind and having to trying to come back on the road, it makes it very difficult to win ball games, especially against tough competition. The energy, obviously, you're so used to the energy when you're at home that allows you to settle in and do the things you're capable of doing. And it's, it could be a many of things, but you will hopefully that down this stretch that the team will understand and to have the urgency and understanding that we need to be better, especially on the road, and try to be a lot better and have much more of an urgency at the start of the game to put yourself in a situation to win a ball game. Because look, it's not very often if your team scores first, um, you I don't know what the percentages are, but you pretty much with the bullpen that this team has, you pretty much gonna put yourself in a situation to win the ball game. And you don't really make a lot of errors either. So that makes it really unique, in that sense. So it really comes down to the starting pitching to set the tone with the offense if they've already started something early and then have a shutdown inning and understand it from that particular standpoint.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, you think about the Phillies and Citizens Bank Park and that being just this enormous home field advantage. The
Yeah,
Padres have a better record at Petco Park than the Phillies do at the bank. Petco
yeah,
Park is wild, it is ruckus, and this is a team, we've talked about this. And again, every team is different. It's not good or bad, it just is what it is. Some teams are more even keeled and others ride the emotional wave. This
yeah.
Padres team, their makeup, they have always been a team that rides the emotional wave, sometimes to their benefit, sometimes to their detriment. So a
Yeah.
big part of it is this is absolutely a team that when the crowd is behind them, they come alive. But when they don't
Yeah.
have that, they're just not as dangerous. I will say, so that's kind of the emotional component. If you want to be more
Yeah.
analytical about it and look statistically, it's interesting. The offense is actually similar in terms of the performance at home and on the road. Where we
Mm.
see a big difference is the pitching. And
Oh,
again,
yeah.
Petco Park is a very, very pitcher-friendly park.
Yeah.
But at home, the Padres are absolutely dominant. That 3.15 home ERA, second best in baseball. You look at the whip, you look at the strikeouts, look at everything. It's top 2 or 3 in baseball.
Yeah.
Whereas on the road, they're still good, but it's more they're good, not great. 3.96 ERA. The whip's a
Yeah.
little bit higher. The opponent's average is about 25 points higher. So they're still, top half of the league, but they're not as dominant. And I think that is really where you see a lot of this is, again, pitching in a pitcher-friendly environment versus going into more, neutral environments. It's not the same
Yeah.
level of dominance. And because this is not a great offense, it's an improved offense, but it's not a great offense, that margin makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that always plays a big part in it. When you just said something about, the offense is kind of like, pretty much the same. And the pitching part of it is the reason why, you know, the Padres are where they are. And I think also too, they went through a stretch where it was really rough. So they had to really come back into, this race that they're in right now. And it was just because guys were underperforming, you needed more offense and you needed these different things. And so there's a chance that that they can become a good road team here in the next few weeks of the season. And so that is important to understand and remember that as a group, as a team, and it should be understood in that clubhouse that hey, we haven't been our best on the road, but we do have a chance to make some moves and give ourselves a chance to really improve our road record, and that'll definitely keep you in the race with the Dodgers. And so here's the good thing: they got swept, but they're only 2 games out.
Yep.
So but you have to be ready to perform in this next series against the San Francisco Giants, and they're tough. I mean, their record doesn't really say that, but you do understand that the Giants do play as well. So we have to be ready to play good baseball against those guys.
Yeah, the Padres return home 4 against the Giants and 3 against the Dodgers. So as much as we talk about their road struggles, the fact they're coming home, it should benefit them. But you're right. They can't have a letdown. They have to get back at it tomorrow. Mike, one other aspect of the Padres that this series, again, didn't expose. It's something we knew, but it was really, really magnified once again. We saw in the finale, the Padres fell behind 4-0 in the first. They rallied to tie at 4-4. Robert Suarez came in the bottom of the 8th, a non-safe situation, served up the go-ahead home run to Mookie Betts. Robert Suarez, and we see this with a lot of closers, that safe situations versus non-safe situations, they're just not as sharp. But it's really, really stark with Robert Suarez. So coming into today, in safe situations, Robert Suarez was holding opponents to a 167 batting average and a 441 OPS. In non-safe situations, hitters were hitting 293 off of him with a 793 OPS. And now you're going to add the Betts homer in there. So those numbers are going to go up. I do think it's to a point now where if you're the Padres, you got to just say, we cannot put Robert Suarez in the game in non-safe situations. And it's tough, right? There's going to be days where, crap, he's our only rested reliever, especially a series like this where your starters weren't going deep. You had to use a bullpen game. You know, at some point, maybe he's your only guy. But we have seen consistently throughout this season in non-safe situations, he goes from being one of the best closers in baseball. I mean, 293 with an OPS near 800, that would be one of the worst pitchers in baseball. And I think it's their point now that the Padres just have to say, unless we are desperate, unless there is literally no one else available in our bullpen, we just can't do this.
Yeah, they're gonna have to really step in, Kyle, and maybe sit down and kind of come up with a plan going forward here, because you don't want to be you don't want that noise going on in the back of the mind of your closer, where it kind of rocks his confidence a little bit. Some guys can turn it on and off. Look, Trevor Hoffman couldn't do the same thing either. If it wasn't the ninth inning, you don't even put him in, because it is not going to go well. I mean, I play with a lot of good closers, and majority of them, they're not good in any other situation other than when they're supposed to pitch, and that's when the game is on the line, whether to hold the game or to win the ball game. So, it's going to have to sit down with Shilty and the pitching coaches and everybody and kind of come up with something, and really try to stay away from situations like this and bring them in when the game is on the line. Some guys are just built like that. We all think that guys should be able to pitch anytime, but when you're built in a mind frame that, some of these guys are built in, you have to kind of abide by that, because it's best for your club and it's also best for the mental space of your closer.
Yeah, no, and I think it's true. I see some people saying, why is Robert Suarez our 4th best reliever, our closer? And they're saying that because they look at Morejon and Adam and Estrada all having lower ERAs. But you gotta understand, the mindset of pitching the 6th and 7th is way different than pitching the 9th.
Yeah,
completely different pressure. It's a completely different animal, and I think people underestimate the situational differences and the effect that has on guys mentally and their performance as a result.
Look, analytics has made it where everything is situational pressures or whatever it may be. There's a mindset to get that 26th, that 25th, 26th, and 27th out when everything is on the line. I'm sorry that there's no analytic that can change the shape of a person's mind, what they've been trained to do for so long. I'm sorry. And you can't just throw anyone back there and have it happen because they throw hard and maybe got like a great shape on their slider. It just doesn't work. There's something about guys coming out when the lights are flickering on and off and everybody's standing up and they know it's the last 3 outs of the game. It's a tough situation. And the Padres have one of the best ones in the game. And you got to try to keep him understanding that these few times that you've sent him out there and it hasn't worked out, let's stay away from it as much as we possibly can. We just have to take it on the chin somewhere else, but we cannot have our closer, put in that situation where he is not, mentally sound when it's time to just close the game down.
No question about it. So, Mike, I think we fixed all the Padres problems. Starting pitchers have to go deep. They got to play better on the road and keep Robert Suarez out of non-safe situations. Boom, there we go.
Yeah, we wish it was that easy all the time.
Exactly. Right? It's easier. It's easy to identify fixing the problem, executing. That's the tricky part. Well, the Padres are going to get a chance to do that with 4 games coming up against the Giants. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors and then preview the series to come.
FT fans, you want to have confidence when you go out in public? Absolutely. We can't all wear a backwards hat like me, but you can get some True Classic fit shirts. It almost looks like, oh, wow, this shirt was tailored for me. Nope, it's every True Classic. This John is soft, it is smooth, and it makes you look a little jacked. I'm just saying.
And Kratz, you are jacked, and you are spot on. True Classic is the spot to go if someone's like, where do I get shirts? True Classic. The colors are fantastic. They've sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers. Their shirts just win. The feel, the tailored look, the price. We all wear True Classic on FT. I mean, Cam Maben literally can't say enough about them too next time we have Cam on. Hit up trueclassic.com/foul. Give it a shot. Upgrade your wardrobe and save on True Classic at trueclassic.com/foul. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL.
I gotta say, I'm wearing True Classic shirts all the time. I'm wearing one right now. The stuff's great.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Good stuff.
That's what's up. Definitely.
All right, Mike. So obviously a letdown series. The Padres went into Dodger Stadium hoping to extend their lead in the National League West. Instead, they got swept and have fallen back into second place. Again, these guys are professionals. You understand, hey, bad game, bad series, you got to flush it. At the same time, there are certain losses, certain series that sting a little more. If you were in the Padres clubhouse right now, going into these 4 home games against the Giants, what would you want to see? Do you think there needs to be some sort of, rally? Hey guys, come on, we got to focus up, or you just kind of go about your business like normal? What would be the way to react from this series loss in your mind that would be most effective?
Well, this was a tough loss right here, and the good thing is you're right up the road, so you're coming back down home, and guys know whether it is Schulte or the guys know, or in the clubhouse, they understand like, hey, all right, man, we got to make sure we lock in here for these next couple of days. Considering, the Giants, they aren't who they are with that record when they play against us for some reason. So we need to make sure that we're trying to play our best ball. We hopefully, you can get Tatis swinging the bat, pretty well. And having him back at the top will do wonders with him being a little more electric and being able to be more productive in this series right here. It makes it a whole lot easier on everyone else. As we all know, Tatis is one of those guys that if he's going, then there's a lot of load that's dropped off for a lot of other guys to feel good about themselves coming in behind him. So, and look, right now, Laureano has been very productive for this team and coming up with big hits. And so, so you can even, throw Laureano at the top and see what happens, and slot Tatis down in the 2-hole or whatever you want to do. But you need to get a little bit more energized and a little bit more production out of these guys moving forward.
Yeah, Tatis has been picking it up recently. Luis Arias is doing Luis Arias things. Manny has had a little bit of a rough stretch. We're not too worried about him. We need to get an update on Jackson Merrill. He left the game today. He'd been nursing a bit of an ankle injury. We'll see how long he's out. Obviously, you want him back and healthy and at his best. I do think this series is going to be very interesting for the Padres on a couple levels. First and foremost, you got to bounce back after the letdown of getting swept by the Dodgers. You also are facing a Giants team that is really, really struggling right now. They lost 7 straight going into their finale against the Rays. They won that one. So they've lost 7 of 8, and they've been struggling for the better part of a few weeks now. They sold at the deadline. This is a team that isn't playing for a whole lot right now, except to play spoiler. And sometimes those teams scare you. Look, the Padres dominated them in San Francisco last week. I would not be surprised if the Giants want to return the favor. So I think that's something to keep an eye out for. The other thing is, and we've seen this, against some of the front end lefty types, the Padres have really, really struggled this year. And we saw that in this most recent series, against Clayton Kershaw, against Blake Snell. If you look at the 30,000-foot view, the righty-lefty splits, it's not really that apparent. But when you drill down and look at when they face like the good lefties, it's been a tough go. and they've got one with Robbie Ray in the opener. It'll be Robbie Ray versus Nestor Cortes. I think the game on Monday, the series opener, is going to be very, very telling in terms of what's the Padres' energy level and how do they perform against Robbie Ray. I think that's really going to set the tone for the series and the week ahead in a big way.
Oh yeah, because Robbie Ray is definitely coming to shove. I mean, he definitely that is the thing with him, and you're gonna need you're gonna need to get some quality out of Nestor Cortes. You're gonna need to get some quality out of Nestor Cortes after this last series, and then you these 4-game series, man. Like you really need to make sure you lock in. You know, you probably you can't sweep anyone unless you win the first game. So, and that's a tough task to try to sweep this team. But you know, as you said, the Giants are coming in and they're going to be just kind of like, okay, we just, you know, we're going to play it on out, but we're going to try to, you know, play tough. But the Padres just need to understand that we just need to play a little bit better, and we just need to get a little more production out of everyone around in the lineup, and especially your big 3, 4. Now that you got, you know, some other guys in there, you're going to need guys to be trying to play some really good baseball coming in this series, man.
Yeah, sure. Robbie Ray, Nestor Cortes in the opener, then Kaiwei Tang versus Nick Pivetta game 2. Landon Roop will go in game 3 for the Giants. The Padres are TBD. That could be Randy Vasquez, could be a bullpen game. Then circles back around to Dylan Cease. I think, too, we talk so much about, and this to bring it all back and tie it all together, the Stars need to go deep. The Padres are in the midst of 13 straight games right now. 3 against the Dodgers, 4 against the Giants, 3 more against the Dodgers at home. And oh, by the way, 3 games in Seattle against a red-hot Mariners team that is playing great baseball right now. This is a difficult, tough stretch for the Padres. And again, 13 straight games against teams who, at the bare minimum, you know, will be tough to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, if the starters cannot consistently give them 6, 7, they're going to be in trouble. Again, Cortes, he's coming off, you know, a season-long injury. He hasn't been able to go deep yet for the Padres. This would be a great time for him to go out and give you 6 solid. Pivetta, you feel good. He potentially gives you 7 every time out. But if they have to go Randy Vasquez or a bullpen game on Wednesday, again, you're going to be in the same spot where, again, if the bullpen has had to be used heavily in the first 2 games, and then you have to have a bullpen opener situation on the Wednesday game, it sets you back for the entire stretch. I think this is really, really critical. Nestor Cortes giving the Padres 6. And I'll say it, I think Pivetta, just to give the bullpen a break, it would be great if he could pitch into the 7th. I would argue that that is what the Padres need from him. That's the number one thing I'll be watching this series, how deep Cortes and Pivetta go to get this started.
Yeah, you said it that, you know, the Giants have been struggling. So you will hope Nestor could take advantage of those situations, or take advantage of the situation, and kind of get into a groove. And it would benefit him, you know, him getting back into the rotation and being able to provide something down the stretch. And, you know, we brought you over here because we think that you can pitch as a starter, and we need to get something out of you. We need some productive innings out of you. So I think he understands it. I think the team understands it, but this is a great opportunity for Nestor to take advantage of I'll just say kind of a Giants team that hasn't been playing well, you know, offensively, and he can take advantage of that. And so you look forward in that situation.
No question about it. We'll see if the Padres are able to pull it off. Once again, swept by the Dodgers, but it's a new week, new series, and the Padres will get another shot at the Dodgers. They just have to make sure they take care of business against the Giants first. Mike, any final thoughts as we wrap up here and head into this 7-game homestand for the Padres?
No, you know, I think, you know, that same energy that you had in Dodger Stadium, you know, I know that the team is probably kind of got in the back of their mind, but you need to be focused on this Giant team that come in, because they come too, and that's another rowdy bunch of fans that come in, fan base that comes in. But the Padres need to take care home as much as you can, because you do understand that we don't play our best on the road, and we need to take care of this home right now, considering we just got swept by the Dodgers. And then, you know, and when you show up and you play against the Dodgers the next time, I think it'll be a much better series, and we'll just have to see where it is. And always have it in your mind. We got 5 weeks to go, maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah, just under 40 games. We're at 38 games remaining in the season now.
Yeah. You're only 2 games back. So you can take advantage of this situation right now and have yourself set up again for the next series after this Giant series.
Absolutely. We will see what happens. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. We appreciate your expertise and insight, as always, my friend.
Yes. Go get those Friar t-shirts. I'm gonna get me one too. Lock in, people, lock in.
Absolutely. This has been another edition of Friar Territory. Go ahead and give us a review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We would love to hear from you. Once again, hit that subscribe button. Head over to friarterritoryshop.com. Buy all the merch. Again, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got quarter zips. Whatever your style is, we got it for you. For Mike Cameron, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. We will see you later this week.